Good afternoon. I'm Larry Wade with the High Floor Company, and I'm here with Larry Forbes, and we are standing in an old barn that was redone and is turned into an event center. And we're going to talk to Larry a little bit about the history of the barn, find out a little bit about what went into doing the project and how the High Floor was a part of that. Larry, why don't you tell us a little bit about just what we're standing in here?
This section was actually built in the mid-1970s.
Okay.
My grandfather's primarily the one that headed it up for my dad, and today it's currently owned by my brother and I under Forbes Farms LLC. And the old section of the barn, the original timber frame barn, was built in 1932. And about 2014, my niece decided to get married in here since we weren't dairying anymore, and we had a monumental job of cleaning everything out. Since then, we've had several parties in here, several weddings. We really aren't quite in that business just yet. At the beginning of this year, we had plenty of wood. All this wood came off the farm.
All right, so you mentioned about this actually being an active barn back in the day. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about maybe just the history of your father had the farm here? What exactly happened? How'd the barn get built and what was it used for?
The original barn, actually the first barn that sat here was out in front of this one.
Okay.
And that was a flat barn. It was not a bank barn like this one. In 1927, it was either hot grain or hay was in here and it caught fire and burned to the ground.
Okay. And
I believe the fellow's name was Harvey Snyder at the time that had this barn built in 1932, the original part of the barn. And 1954, my parents bought this 80-acre parcel here that fits in with the rest of the farm. And my dad, he had steers in here and a few hogs and just a little bit of everything.
That was his livelihood at that point?
It was part of that. He was, back then, he was working full-time out of Mount Vernon for an implement dealership. And in Farm 2 with my grandfather. And about 1970s, we were starting getting to dairy, needed more room, so we built a straw shed on. They called it a straw shed, but we used to just pack this clear full of hay and kept a couple tractors parked in here. The original floor in here was double layered in the center. And
that's for the weight of the equipment?
The weight of the equipment spreads the weight out better, and it just works so much better for that purpose. That was in pretty bad shape. We all worked on this section here when it was built in the mid-70s. Of course, the poles here are the old Rural Electrification Act poles, the metal ones. And they're just as solid as they were 40, 50 years ago, as a matter of fact. All the lumber in here in the floor, the joists and everything, that was all sawn off the farm too. Yes. There was a lot of white ash to begin with, and then several years later, we were cleaning out all the wild growth around the perimeter of the farm fields and interface within the woods. And we had about 40 logs we milled up in a couple days' time. And as a local
sawyer, when you say milled up, you said milled. It was done here on the property?
Yes, it was milled right out here in the grassy area just south of the barn. And straight line sawing came in. Stuff. They brought in a bandsaw, it's a brand new bandsaw. And it does everything, lifted logs on and so forth. And spent a couple days milling up all the wood, and then we stuck it up out here in the old holding area where the cows used to stand waiting to be milked. So it was naturally dried for about 4 years out here in that holding area. And a lot of it was cut fairly long to cover the full length of the barn floors. We ended up going perpendicular to that because it lays better, it covers better that way, and is much more even. And the wood was then loaded up, taken down to Mohican Hardwoods, which is an Amish-owned business, and they planed it and then edged it. So you have equal, within 1 inch increments of width, and it lays a lot more even that way.
Sure.
So that was, it took them about a week to plane all of it down and get it all edged and hauled back up here and then put to use.
Yeah, very good. It's so cool. It tells a better story, and it makes for the uniqueness of the barn, but the wood's from here.
It does.
I mean, that's just great.
Yes.
I mean, it really adds to the story, and it'll add to the history as both of you and I aren't as young as we used to be. This barn will be here much longer than we will. So it'll be a great story that you guys took the time and the effort to use what's here.
Yeah, the enduring beauty of it, it's still rustic appearing, and the effect is exactly what we wanted to see.
Yeah.
It's almost overwhelming. You come in here and imagine the change that we have seen take place.
But yeah, just the fact that, again, this was grown just not too far from here, all part of the history of this. In reality, these trees would have saw this building being built if they could talk. You know, I mean, they've been here that long and stuff. So it's just a great story, a great marriage, and we need more folks like you that care about history and what's been going on a property and try to keep it as authentic as they can. So
well, thank you.
We applaud you for that.
And it took about 4,000 board feet. We had Aaron Kaufman's crew. It's a local Amish crew of High Peak Construction. They came in, peeled the whole top layer off, leveled things up. Did some overlayment. There's Tyvek underneath all of this. We decided to put this cherry walkway in just to give a little more accent to that, and it's framed in as white ash. But
so that'll basically be your wedding runner kind of thing. Is the concept, or the concept behind that?
Correct. That's the whole concept. And for finishing, Aaron recommended a high floor company. And those guys, you'd think you do it yourself by how easy they make it look. They just came in here and sanded everything down smooth.
But my understanding is trip hazards and that kind of thing was a big concern. You wanted a flat surface so that it was a safe place for the public to be in. So after the floor was installed by the general contracting group, they contracted with us to come in and help with the project. And what our guys did was sanded the floor down flat. And it's a little different than most places because of, if you can see on the floor, all these screw heads that are sticking up. Those will actually cause quite a lot of havoc to our equipment. So we used a little different process. We used what they call an orbital sander and sanded it down, went over it multiple times to get it nice and flat. I do believe if there are a couple spots that were being troublesome, they used a hand orbital sander to really make sure everything was completely flat when it was done, because that's the big concern in a situation like this where you have public, where you're probably gonna have maybe some dancing and different kinds of stuff. It needs to be safe.
Sure.
So that's what our guys did. And once the process of sanding everything flat is done, you guys had talked about wanting to have this runner in, and it wanted to make it appear like a cherry runner.
Yes.
And so we taped off the edges, stain all of that, and that's done separately than the rest of the floor. The rest of the floor is what we'd call natural. It's just a natural wood. So our guys taped the edges down with masking tape and stained this area. Once the area is stained, tape's taken up, and we painstakingly go around and make sure there's no bleed or anything through, so you have a nice conformed runner system in here and a platform that really looks nice. That's a great choice you guys made to do it this way. And so we stain that. After the staining is done and dry, then we come in and coat the whole floor. The whole floor is coated, I believe 4 coats, if I understand correctly.
That is correct.
And we use a really good industrial finish so it'll hold up to all the wear and tear that will be taking place in the facility.
Yes, I understand the last coat has a non-slip additive within that.
Right.
And then that's a plus too. As you said, trip and fall hazards are definitely real.
Yes.
And that has now been totally eliminated with all of this.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so that's the process that was done to make this facility the safest and best for you and also the people that will be enjoying this space. Well, now let's talk about visions for the future. Obviously, you spent some time and effort on the floor. That's surely not the end of what's going to happen. And so let's talk a little bit about what you see happening here.
Right now, it's a transitional stage, and I foresee more electrical upgrades in here, get everything up to code, parking wise, and initially having community and family parties in here would be a great idea that my brother and I would like to pursue as well. And by that point, I foresee more development on the outside of this, more deck area and so forth. And when that is all up to code, and then we can go forth with some more future plans as far as restrooms, dressing rooms,
sure,
whatever. And so right now we're at that pivotal stage. This is a huge plus, so it's a good kickoff point.
Sure.
And a great point to move forward with this. So many barns are disappearing now. As far as agriculture use, they have become obsolete, not as well maintained. This is about the only one we have left out of many now.
Yeah.
And I think to share that with other people and their interest is a good thing.
Sure, absolutely.
To keep it all viable.
Absolutely. Well, we're very proud and happy to be part of it as a Ohio Floor Company. We love to see old projects like this come back to life. The rustic look, it's something we really pride ourselves in to be able to help people like you with. So thank you for including us in the process.
You're welcome.
And we will keep you posted, I guess, out there in the world as him and his brother make improvements to the building and have a chance to open this up to more public. We'll definitely make sure everybody knows about it because we think this is a great place and everyone in this area and outside should come and see it and enjoy it.
Yeah, we're very pleased with this and take a lot of pride in it. And the effort that the Ohio Floor Company did with this was spectacular, and we wouldn't do it otherwise.
No, we appreciate it, and if we can help you as you continue to grow and help the community enjoy this, we would love to be part of that.
That's great. You certainly would be.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.